Welcome back to Darkness in the Night. Tonight, I invite you to listen to a new story, The Remains Beneath the Banyan Tree. A tale that begins with a violent storm in a remote central Vietnam village, where winds howl. Sand drifts endlessly, and thunder rolls like voices rising from the depths of the earth. Sit down, dim the lights, and listen. The wind howled through the thatched roofs. Rain slammed against the yard like 1,000 palms pounding the ground. Inside, the oil lamp in old Mr. Mao's house flickered weakly, then went out, leaving only the faint glow of the dying fire in the kitchen. Outside, dogs barked frantically, then fell silent. A man came running along the muddy road, clutching a trembling flashlight. "Hey, everyone, come quick, there's a child standing under the banyan tree at the village gate." His voice echoed through the storm. People inside rushed out, throwing on raincoats, wading through mud to the gate. The wind whipped their faces, cold as ice. The old banyan loomed in the darkness, its branches swaying like the arms of a giant. Beneath it stood a little girl, soaked, her hair plastered to her face, her patched shirt torn and clinging to her thin frame. No one knew where she came from. She stood motionless, eyes wide and black, staring straight at them. Rain lashed her tiny body, yet she didn't shiver. My God, who'd abandon a child like that in the middle of the night? Or, is it a ghost child? Someone whispered, trembling. An old woman gripped her daughter-in-law's hand tightly, rasping, "I swear, that banyan's cursed. Years ago, someone hanged themselves there." No one dared step closer. Only Nguyen Van Hung, a man in his 30s, thin, hollow-eyed, quietly walked forward. His shirt was drenched and clung to his body, but he didn't care. "Who are you, little one? Why are you here alone? Where are your parents?" The girl didn't answer. Her lips moved faintly, a voice thin as the wind. "Where is my mother?" A chill swept through everyone's spine. Hung crouched down, trying to see her face clearly. Those eyes, round, deep, black, made him freeze. For a moment, he thought he was staring into the eyes of his own daughter, the one who died years ago in an accident. He swallowed hard and said softly, "Come on, let's go inside. You'll get sick standing out here." He took off his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. Her hand was as cold as winter well water. The girl stayed silent, staring up at the trembling branches of the banyan. A thunderclap cracked overhead, the tree shuddered, leaves rustling wildly. The wind carried what sounded like a faint laugh drifting through the night. Hung turned and shouted, "I'll take her home for now, we'll figure it out in the morning. It's too dangerous to leave her here." No one stopped him. The villagers just watched in the flash of blue lightning as two silhouettes, one tall, one small, disappeared into the curtain of rain. Hung's house sat at the end of the village, near the rice fields, a mud-walled home with an old tiled roof and a small porch where he often sat watching the fields. He lit the oil lamp again. Its pale yellow glow fell across the girl's face, pale, lifeless. She crouched beside the hearth, eyes vacant. Hung gently dried her hair with a towel and asked softly, "What's your name, child? Tell me." After a long silence, she whispered, "Lin." Her voice was barely audible, like the breeze through a crack in the wall. Hung froze. That name, it was the same as his daughter's. He swallowed, his voice shaking slightly. "Lin, huh, and who are your parents? Do you remember them?" The little girl shook her head, her eyes fixed on the dark corner of the house. There, the wavering lamplight cast a strange shadow on the wall, the outline of a woman with long hair, bowing her head as if watching over them. The wind whistled through the cracks of the door, carrying a faint lullaby. "Hush now, my child, sleep tight. Mother's gone to the market for betel and areca. She'll be back to feed you soon." Hung stiffened. He shot to his feet, glancing around, but no one was there. The fire in the hearth suddenly went out, smoke curling into the dim air. Little Lin still sat motionless, her eyes now veiled by a ghostly mist. A single raindrop dripped from the eaves, tap, tap, like the slow ticking of time itself. He whispered, "Lynn, did you hear that?" The girl looked up and smiled, a pale, lifeless smile. "I heard my mother singing." Her words made Hung's blood run cold. Outside, thunder rumbled again. The wind howled across the roof. A white blur swept past the window, so fast he thought his eyes were playing tricks. Then, within that gust, came a sound, faint, broken giggles of a child echoing through the storm. Hung collapsed onto the chair, heart pounding. He stared into the yard. The beetle tree swayed violently, the darkness seeming to creep closer. Little Lynn's gaze followed it, her eyes gleaming with an eerie light. "She's here, Mother's here." Her voice was clear and calm. Then the oil lamp went out with a hiss. Cold filled the room, only Hung's ragged breathing broke the silence. A small hand touched his, icy as death. He tried to pull away, but couldn't. Outside, the dogs began to howl, long, mournful cries that echoed across the village. And in that chilling moment, Hung caught a familiar scent, the fragrance of jasmine, the same his late wife used to wash her hair with. His throat tightened. The little girl whispered softly, like a breeze through the dark, "It's so cold here." The next morning, the sky was still the color of ash. The rain had just stopped, but cold wind whipped through the narrow path. A few villagers gathered at Hung's gate, whispering among themselves. "That child, he really brought her home?" "Yeah, they say she hardly speaks. Maybe she's someone's abandoned kid, or maybe not even human." No one dared say it too loudly. The quiet little village, once peaceful, now avoided even glancing toward the house at the end of the road. Inside, Hung sat by the fire, stirring a pot of tea, his eyes distant and weary. Little Lynn sat nearby, clutching a doll he'd once found in the fields, old, tangled hair, missing one eye, yet she caressed it as if it were treasure. "Are you hungry? Have some porridge," he said gently. "I'm not hungry." "Cold? It's warmer here than out there." Hung smiled faintly, though a heaviness pressed on his chest. The girl was strange. She hadn't blinked once since last night. And in the darkness, he could have sworn he'd seen a woman's shadow glide across the roof. When he tried to make her a bed, the moment he laid down the blanket, Lynn lay down facing the wall, exactly the same way his own daughter used to sleep. He stood there, throat tight, eyes misting. The wind moaned outside, then fell silent. From somewhere in the house came a faint lullaby. "Hush now, sleep, my child." Hung froze. He turned around. Lynn lay still, eyes closed, lips moving faintly. The song came from her mouth, but the voice wasn't that of a child. It was low, hoarse, the voice of a grown woman. He stepped closer. The singing stopped. Lynn opened her eyes. "Who taught you that song?" he asked, voice trembling. "Mother." Hung swallowed hard. "Where is your mother now?" She slowly turned her head, her black eyes deep and endless. "In the fields," she whispered. She said, "When the full moon rises, I'll come home to her." Hung's heart clenched. He didn't know why those words chilled him to the bone. Outside, clouds gathered heavy and dark. A crow screeched, caw, caw, then flew past the roof. By noon, Mr. Mao, the village elder, arrived, a man who believed deeply in the unseen, and had witnessed many strange things. Leaning on his cane, he stood at the porch. "Hung," he called, "I heard you took in a strange child?" "Yes, sir," Hung replied. "I was thinking of keeping her here for a few days. See if anyone comes looking." "That's fine, but be careful," the old man said, lowering his voice. "That banyan tree, no one's dared go near it in years. There's an old grave beneath it, of a young woman who hanged herself back in the 60s. They say on rainy nights, you can hear a lullaby drifting from there." Hung's face drained of color. Mr. Mao took a sip of tea, glanced around the house, and asked quietly, "What's the girl's name?" "Lynn." The old man froze, setting his cup down slowly. "Lynn? That's strange. The woman who died under that banyan was named Lynn too. The room grew heavy, the air thick. Only the steady drip from the eaves broke the silence. Tap, tap. Mr. Mao rose, shaking his head. I'd best go. Be careful. Hung, don't open your doors late at night. By evening, a misty drizzle returned. Hung sat at the doorway, staring blankly toward the fields. Inside, Lynn hummed softly again, the same melody. But the words had changed. Mother, don't leave me. It's cold, I'm scared of the dark. The sound made his spine crawl. He stood, stepping closer, but Lynn stopped singing. She turned and smiled sweetly. Who were you singing to? Little one? To my father. And where is he? Standing behind you. Hung spun around. No one there. A draft blew through the crack of the door, making the curtain sway. His palms were slick with sweat. That night, he couldn't sleep. The fire had died out. The oil lamp flickered weakly. In the haze between dreams and waking, he heard soft footsteps circling the house, then a woman's whisper. Hung, why did you leave us? He bolted upright, heart hammering. No one was there. Lynn lay asleep, clutching her doll, but now, the doll had two eyes. One of them was dark, glossy, and disturbingly real. The moon rose slowly, blood red as if soaked in veins of shadow. Everyone in the village had shut their doors early. No one remembered when it began, but every full moon, the sound of a child's crying echoed from beneath the old banyan tree. That night, Hung couldn't sleep. He lay awake, listening to the wind scrape against the walls, the damp smell of earth filling his lungs. Outside, the ancient banyan whispered and rustled, its leaves murmuring like faint voices in conversation. Lynn was still awake. She sat by the window, hair falling over her shoulders, eyes fixed on the crimson moon, unblinking. You're not asleep yet? Hung asked quietly. She's coming, Lynn said softly. Who? My mother. She's under the banyan tree. She told me when the full moon rises, she'll come for me. Hung bolted upright. Your mother? Out there? She nodded without looking away from the window. He stepped closer, gripping her shoulders. Stop talking like that, Lynn. There's no one out there. Her head turned slightly, lips barely moving. You don't believe me? Then open the door and see. Outside, the wind stopped. The night held its breath. Hung swallowed hard, walking toward the old wooden door. His hand trembled as he lifted the latch. A long, dry creak echoed through the stillness. Cold moonlight spilled inside. Beneath the banyan, a figure stood. Long hair, white dress, floating, not standing, in the air. Her hair hid her face, arms limp at her sides. A thin mist swirled around her feet. Hung staggered back, face pale. Who's there? He shouted. No answer, only the faint drift of a lullaby carried on the wind. Hush now, my child, sleep tight, or mother will come to take you away. Behind him, Lynn whispered, voice trembling. That's my mother, she's calling me. No, Hung shouted, grabbing the girl's wrist. Stay here, don't go. But Lynn jerked free, eyes flashing. You're not my father. My father left my mother under that tree. Her voice cut through the air like a blade. Hung froze. Moonlight revealed the sweat rolling down his temples. He stammered. What did you say? Lynn stared at him, her black eyes gleaming with reflected moonlight. Mother told me, you were the one who dug up her grave. Hung collapsed to his knees, mouth open but words lost. The memories surged back like a flood, years ago, when he worked with the land clearing crew. He'd accidentally unearthed an old grave beneath the banyan tree. Inside the coffin was the preserved body of a woman with long hair, holding a one-eyed doll. Ever since then, he had dreamed of eyes staring at him from beneath the soil. And now, the child from that grave was standing in his house. The lullaby grew louder, closer, no longer carried by the wind, but by something inside the walls. Hush now, come home, my child. Don't stay with strangers. Hung wrapped his arms around Lin, shaking. "Don't go. Stay with me." Lin lifted her face. The moonlight gleamed against her ghostly pale skin. "She's waiting under the banyan," she whispered. "Mother said, if father gives back her eye, she'll forgive him." Hung's breath caught. He turned to look at the doll on the wooden bench. One black, glassy eye, round and gleaming. He understood. "That eye, is it this one?" The girl nodded. "Tonight, it must be returned." Hung stepped out into the porch, clutching the doll tightly. His heart pounded like thunder. Wind howled, leaves swirled wildly. Beneath the banyan, the white figure stood still, her hollow eyes drawing him in. He placed the doll on the ground and backed away. "I'm giving it back, don't come here again." No reply. A sudden gust roared through, scattering dust and leaves. From inside the house, Lin screamed, voice cracking. "Uncle, she's here." Hung spun around. The door burst open. Lin stood in the doorway, but she was no longer the same. Her skin was chalk white, her hair lifted by invisible wind, her eyes empty voids. She smiled, a crooked, lifeless smile. "I'm going home now." Hung rushed toward her, but her body dissolved into mist. At that same moment, the figure under the banyan bent forward, arms open as if to embrace her child. A cold wind swept past, and then silence. The moon hung full. The banyan stood still. On the ground lay the doll, both of its eyes now gone. Dawn broke faintly, mist still blanketing the fields. Cold wind slipped through the bamboo rows, whispering like a distant voice calling his name. Hung woke from the nightmare of the previous night. The house was empty, Lin was gone. The door stood open, the floor soaked with rain. He stepped into the yard, legs trembling. Beneath the banyan tree lay only the doll, tilted to one side. Its eye sockets hollow. He picked it up, his chest tightening. "Lin, where are you?" The wind rustled through the leaves, answering him with a broken lullaby. "Hush now, mother's come to take you home." A chill ran through him. He bolted toward the village. Passing the old well in the communal yard, he heard something, a faint giggle rising from the depths below. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the more he listened, the clearer it became, a child's laughter, sweet and eerie. Hung leaned over and looked down. The water was pitch black, his reflection rippling and distorted. Then the laughter spoke. "Uncle Hung, can you see me?" He staggered back, slipping in the mud, his heart pounding. Lin, is that you?" No reply, only bubbles breaking the surface, and then a small pale hand floated up from the water. Hung screamed. "God help me, someone, anyone." Footsteps came running. It was old Mr. CA and a few young men on their way to the fields. "Hung, what's wrong with you?" "In the well, someone's down there." They gathered around, shining their torches into the depths. Only black water. A frog swam across, nothing more. "There's nothing there, Hung," one said. "You're seeing things." "I swear, I heard a child laughing. I saw her hand, white as chalk." Mr. CA sighed heavily. "That well's been abandoned for years, ever since Mrs. Wah hanged herself. No one dares go near it." "Mrs. Wah? Who's that?" "The mother of the girl, Lin." The air grew heavy, pressing down on them. Hung's ears rang. "She died under the banyan tree?" "Aye, after she lost her child. They said she went mad, haunted, wandered out at midnight calling for her daughter, then hung herself right where you found that girl." Hung collapsed to the ground, trembling. "Oh God, then that child?" Mr. CA placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's over now, Hung, but be careful. Once you're touched by those things, peace doesn't come easy." That night, Hung didn't go home. He sat on the temple porch, incense burning in front of him, staring toward the well. The water shimmered under the moonlight, rippling as if something moved beneath the surface. Then a whisper, soft, close. "Give it back to mother." He turned sharply. No one was there. A faint giggle followed, fading into silence. Hung clutched his head, shaking. "What do you want from me?" No answer, only the trickle of water. He shut his eyes, and the image of the doll appeared, empty eyes staring at him. Then Lin's voice drifted through his mind, faint as the wind. "Father hasn't returned at all." A sudden thud. He opened his eyes. The doll was lying right in front of him, soaked, covered in mud. Hung scrambled back. Who brought you here?" "No one, only wind." The incense burned low, ash swirling. The laughter came again, this time echoing from deep inside the well. "Uncle Hung, come play with me, it's fun down here." He covered his ears and screamed, "Go away, you're not real." But the water began to boil, bubbling violently. From the depths, a figure rose, long hair dripping, face hidden, hands gripping the well's edge. Hung stumbled backward, slipping on the wet stone. His torch went out, leaving only the moon's cold light. From the well, a pale hand crept out, fingers long, slick, reaching. And a voice spoke, slow and hollow. "Return, the other eye?" Night fell fast, spilling across the village like ink. Everything was still, only the steady hum of insects rose from the fields. The air was thick with the smell of mud, straw smoke, and incense. Hung sat alone inside, dark circles under his eyes. All day his mind had echoed with the laughter from the well. Every time he closed his eyes, Lin's voice returned, soft, trembling, carried by the wind. "Uncle Hung, it hurts?" He jolted up, glancing around. In the corner, the doll still lay there, but now it had one eye again. Hung froze. Last night, both sockets were empty. Now the left one gleamed, wet, glassy, almost alive. He reached out to touch it, cold as ice. Then, behind him, a whisper. "Pretty, isn't it?" He spun around. No one. A gust of wind swept through the doorway, brushing the hanging curtain across his face, cold and damp. Outside, moonlight spilled into the yard, pale and yellow. And in the shadow cast by the banyan tree on the wall, a woman stood. Her hair hung long, covering her face. Her white dress was drenched, water dripping onto the ground. Tap, tap, tap. Her head tilted to one side. A rope looped around her neck, frayed and swinging. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Hung froze where he stood. The figure swayed gently in the breeze, and from that spot came a whisper. "Give it back, the eye." His voice trembled. Who are you?" The woman tilted her head. Her hair parted, revealing a pale, bloodless face and lips tinged dark purple. Her left eye socket was empty, a crust of dried blood trailing down her cheek. "You dug up my grave," she hissed. "You took my eye?" "No, I didn't know. I was just following orders." "You unearthed me. You broke my rest." "I didn't mean to. I didn't know who you were." The woman floated closer, not walking, but gliding across the ground. "I don't need you to know. I just need my eye." Hung back toward the door, grabbing a hoe from the corner. "Stay away from me." Her voice deepened, vibrating through the air beside his ear. "My daughter still wanders." He spun around. The white figure was right in front of him now. Her remaining eye glared straight into his, the empty socket oozing black fluid. Hung through the hoe and bolted out the door. The moon was blood red, its light staining the banyan roots. The rope still swung from the branch, creaking softly. He heard a sharp breath behind him, turned, nothing. Then a freezing hand clamped around his neck, yanking him backward. "Will you return it, or shall I take it myself?" Hung struggled, gasping. "All right, I'll give it back," he screamed. He ran into the house, grabbed the doll, and tore out the eye. A stream of dark, foul-smelling liquid dripped onto his hands. He stumbled back to the banyan, hurled the eye to the ground, and fell to his knees. "Take it, just leave me be." The wind stopped. The branches fell still. Then, above him, the rope creaked. A woman's lullaby drifted through the night, slow, hollow, haunting. Hush now, the bamboo sways. Mother seeks her eye. Where is her child? Hung looked up. On the banyan branch hung Mrs. Wah, staring down at him, smiling. Her neck still looped in the rope, but her face was changing. It was Lin's. Hung screamed, clutching his head, and ran toward the temple. Behind him, laughter, high, childlike, echoed through the darkness, blending with the creak of the swinging rope, creak, creak. The moon shone until dawn. When the villagers came to the fields at sunrise, they found footprints, a man's and a child's, leading from the banyan tree straight to the dry well. And inside Hung's house, the doll still lay where he left it, both eyes perfectly intact. Night fell quickly, swallowing the sky. The village lay in silence, broken only by the soft chorus of insects in the fields. The air smelled of wet earth, smoke, and incense, thick, unsettling. Hung stayed away from his house that night. He took shelter in a small field hut, lying awake, afraid to close his eyes. Every time the wind rustled through the trees, the sound was like someone sighing. By dawn, the village buzzed with fear. Mr. Nam's dog had barked all night, then died, its eyes wide open, tongue hanging out. Chickens refused to eat. The water in the communal well reeked of blood. Must be poisoned air, people whispered, but no one dared go near the banyan tree anymore. By late afternoon, storm clouds gathered, the heat pressing down heavy. Hung was about to step outside when Mrs. Ba, his neighbor, called from the path. "Hung, have you seen my boy T? He went to herd the buffalo at noon, he hasn't come back." Hung shook his head, but his chest tightened. Which way did he go? Toward the banyan. Someone saw him playing there earlier. At that, a chill crawled up Hung's spine. He ran toward the tree. The sky darkened, the wind swirled dust and leaves. Under the banyan, the grass was trampled, buffalo tracks dragged through the mud, but no boy in sight. He bent down. In the mud was a clear handprint, small, thin, with abnormally long fingers. A strand of hair lay tangled nearby. A cold breath brushed the back of his neck. Then, from inside the tree's trunk, came the faint giggle of a child. "Hush now, caught you." Hung staggered back, whispering prayers under his breath. He turned to flee, and a scream tore through the fields. My son's in the water." People came running. In the irrigation ditch, the boy's body floated face up, arms spread wide, eyes staring. Across his chest was a handprint, small, but deep, like that of a child. The villagers panicked. They gathered at the temple, lighting incense, offering betel and coins, praying for peace. But the more they prayed, the clearer the song became, spreading through the wind over the rice fields. "Hush now, mother's lullaby. Sleep, my child, before they come for you." Everyone froze. The elders whispered, "That's Mrs. Hoa's voice, Lin's mother." Others said, "No, it's Lin, she's calling for a friend." That night, a storm rolled in. Lightning struck the banyan tree, splitting it apart. Smoke rose into the night. When the villagers arrived, they saw the bark torn open, and in its core, the shape of a woman's face, half smiling, half crying. Hung stood among them, numb. Then, close to his ear, a whisper. "Father, it hurts?" He spun around, no one there. Rain pooled on the ground, reflecting his shadow, but strangely, it moved on its own. It bent down and smiled at him. Hung stumbled back, splashing through the water. He fell, staring into the puddle. Lin's reflection stared back, her lips moving. "Father, why won't you admit I'm yours?" He shook his head, trembling. I'm not your father." "Yes, you are." Her voice came from behind him now. He turned. Lin stood in the rain, soaked, her hair plastered to her pale face. Her eyes glowed red in the stormlight. "You dug up mother's grave. You took her eye. Now it's my turn." Hung backed against the cracked banyan trunk. From its split bark oozed thick black blood, spreading into the rainwater, filling the air with a stench of rot. Thunder rolled, wind howled, and the lullaby rose again, mingling with the storm. "Hush now, father. Go home. It's cold here." Hung dropped to his knees, tears mixing with the rain. "I'm sorry, please, forgive me." The girl lowered her head. Her voice faded, almost gentle. "I can't. The whole village owes us." Then she dissolved into mist, vanishing into the rain. The banyan groaned and split apart completely, revealing a skeleton clutching a child's doll to its chest. The villagers fell silent. No one spoke a word. From that day on, the water in the communal well stayed dark and murky. And on every full moon night, when the wind blew through the fields, you could still hear it. A woman's lullaby drifting faintly in the air. The next morning, the sky stayed gray and heavy, the sun too afraid to rise. The wind from the fields carried the salty scent of wet soil. The banyan tree lay slanted, its trunk split open, dark sap oozing out like tar. A few men from the village gathered around, arguing about burying the tree to put the spirits to rest. "Bury it, so their souls can stop wandering," said old Mr. C.A., his incense trembling in his hand. Hung stood apart, silent, staring at the cracked trunk, his mind tangled like a net. Every time he looked at the fracture, he saw Lynn's face flickering inside it, faint, fleeting, watching. 3 men picked up their hoes and began digging around the roots. The ground was soft and damp, the smell foul and thick. Before long, dark water seeped up from below. "Hey, look," one of them shouted. A pale bone jutted from the soil. When they dug further, all 3 froze. Beneath the banyan were not 1, but 3 skulls stacked together, each facing a different direction. Mr. C.A. went pale. "Good Lord, what is this?" Another man whispered, trembling. "Must have been a mass grave, from long ago." But Hung knew better. He stood still, heart pounding. Beside the 3 skulls was a small arm bone, tiny, delicate, still wrapped in a shred of white cloth. He stepped closer. Just as he bent down, the ground caved in with a wet crack, and black water burst upward like something forcing its way out. "Back away!" shouted Mr. C.A., but it was too late. A round, dripping shape rose from the mud. It was a head, not a dry skull, but a face still covered in skin, bluish and bloated, eyes wide open. Wet black hair clung to its cheeks, coated with soil. The men screamed and scattered in terror. Hung couldn't move. He knew that face. It was his wife, Thou. He collapsed to his knees, choking. "Thou, why are you here?" The wind hissed through the grass, slicing cold against his skin. The woman's lips twitched. A hoarse whisper escaped them. "You hid me well, didn't you?" Hung stumbled back, shaking his head. No, you died in that accident. I buried you properly." Childlike laughter echoed across the fields, from the well, from the banyan, from the ground itself. "Father's lying. Father buried mother under the tree." Hung clutched his ears, screaming, "I didn't kill anyone." But the laughter only grew, spreading through the air, across the village. People who heard it froze in dread. When they reached the hole, they saw the soil bubbling, blood and water mixing, thick and reeking. Mr. C.A. fell to his knees, trembling, and prayed aloud. "Merciful heaven, if spirits are wronged, forgive us. Let the village have peace." As soon as he spoke, a violent gust snapped the incense stick in half. Through the swirling dust came the sound of a woman sobbing. "They hid me. They buried me beneath the shadow of the tree." Hung crawled backward, eyes blank, as rain began to fall. He looked up. Lynn stood at the edge of the pit. Her white dress was soaked with mud, her gaze cold and hollow. "Father buried mother and lied. Now both of us are here." Hung burst into tears, his voice breaking. "I didn't mean to. I only wanted to keep you both close. I was afraid they'd take you away." Lynn stepped forward, her bare feet sinking into the mud. Keep us? In the cold earth? So we could never leave? Her voice blended with the rain, rising like wind across the fields. The banyan trembled, its roots tearing free as if dragged from below. The villagers fled in panic. Only Hung remained, kneeling in the mud, clinging to the fallen trunk, crying and muttering, "Forgive me, please forgive me." Lightning flashed. For a single instant, everyone saw it. Beneath the tree lay two bodies entwined. A woman clutching a child, both staring upward, eyes wide open. Thunder cracked. The ground collapsed. The banyan and the pit sank into the storm. When the rain finally stopped, all that remained was a deep, black pool, rippling like a newborn well. That night, anyone who passed by could still hear it. A lullaby drifting from the water's surface. Hush now, the banyan has gone to the sky. Mother holds her child, as their bodies sleep in the fields. The morning after the storm, the village lay wrapped in a strange silence. No roosters crowed, no children cried. The banyan tree was gone. In its place yawned a deep, black pit of thick, stagnant water. The villagers began calling it the Well of Vengeance. They said everyone in the village had dreamt of Hung that night. Standing alone in the fields, drenched, eyes pitch black. He didn't speak, he just smiled. The elders whispered, "He's dead now, but his soul's still wandering." That afternoon, Mrs. Tai went to fetch water. When she pulled up the bucket, the liquid inside stank of iron. And tangled in it was a clump of long, black hair. She screamed, dropped the bucket, and ran. That night, every house shut its doors tight. Dogs barked in long, broken howls. Rain began to fall again, a light, steady drizzle. Then came knocking. 3 slow knocks. Thud, thud, thud. An old man crept to his door and cracked it open. Hung stood on the porch. His brown shirt clung to his body, dripping. His hair stuck to his face, his skin waxy and pale. "Hung, is that you?" the old man whispered. Hung smiled faintly. His voice was hoarse, hollow. "I'm thirsty." The old man, trembling, handed him a bowl of water. Hung lifted it to his lips. The water spilled down his chin, dripping to the floor. Not a drop went into his mouth. Then he looked up. His eyes had turned milky white. The water from the well tastes of salt. The old man screamed and collapsed. By the time others rushed over, Hung was gone. Only muddy footprints remained, leading back toward the black well. The next night, something else happened. Mrs. Sao, one of the women who had dug near the banyan, woke to the sound of the wind slamming her shutters open. When she rushed to close them, she saw words scrawled across her wall. Thick, red, dripping like blood. "Return what you took." She fainted on the spot. Since then, she's been bedridden, muttering over and over. "They've all come back, the fields are full of them." On the 3rd day after the storm, a group of young men decided to confront the curse. They brought shovels, hoping to fill the well and end it once and for all. The water was still black, its surface smooth as glass. One man tossed a stone in. Plop. No echo, no ripple. Another shined his flashlight down. Something pale glimmered beneath the surface. "Hey, something white down there." They leaned closer. Then all 3 screamed and stumbled backward. Beneath the water was Hung's face, eyes wide open, staring up, smiling. They dropped their tools and ran, shouting, "Hung's dead, Hung's in the well." Villagers poured out to see. But when they looked down, there was nothing, only the dark water. Mr. Ca lit incense, hands trembling. "If restless souls linger here," he prayed, "forgive us. We'll make offerings tonight, please. Let our village be free." As soon as he finished, the wind snuffed the incense out. From the depths below came the sound of a child's lullaby. "Hush now, has mother come home yet? I'm thirsty, Mama." Those nearest the edge shivered. The voice grew louder, clearer, accompanied by the sound of boiling water churning below. Then, a white figure rose from the well. Lynn. Soaked, her hair plastered to her pale skin, her eyes hollow black pits. Her voice was calm, but it froze everyone in place. Who buried my mother and me? No one dared answer. Mr. C.A. fell to his knees, crying out, "We didn't mean to. Forgive this village, child, please." Lynn's lips curled into a faint smile. Forgiven, but someone still hasn't returned. Then she turned and stepped back into the well. The water splashed, then stilled, flat and silent, as if nothing had ever touched it. That night, every home heard knocking again. 3 slow, even beats. When the doors opened, only cold wind rushed in, and some swore they saw Hung standing at the edge of the village, holding Lynn's hand, the two of them walking together toward the misty fields, disappearing into the fog that swallowed everything whole. The full moon hung high that night. Clouds tore apart in the wind, and moonlight spread across the fields like a white shroud covering a corpse. The well of vengeance stood alone, its water black, still, and silent. The village was utterly quiet. Every door was shut, yellow talismans pasted on every window. Only the low, drawn-out howling of dogs echoed through the dark like a lament. Then, from the well, came a lullaby, soft, mournful, trembling. "Hush now, sleep, my child, sleep tight. The moon climbs the hill. The wind drifts through the fields." Everyone heard it, yet no one dared to step outside. Inside Hung's old house, the oil lamp suddenly flared to life. The door creaked open, and the wind rushed in, swirling. A figure stepped through the threshold, Hung. His clothes were dry, but his bare feet left no sound. His eyes were hollow, empty as night. He looked around, moving slowly toward the altar. His wife and daughter's portraits still sat there, incense smoke curling faintly. He picked up a burnt stick of incense and spoke in a rasp. "Thou, Lynn, you've come back, haven't you?" Footsteps, light, soft, echoed behind him. Lynn appeared, in her soaked white dress, black hair dripping down her shoulders, eyes gleaming like pools of ink. "I've been waiting for you, Father," she said. Hung's hands trembled. "I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you both." Lynn tilted her head slightly. "Do you remember the riddle, Father? If you take one away, how many remain?" His throat tightened. "2, there are 2, you and your mother." The girl shook her head slowly. "Wrong, take one away, one remains. One living, one dead. Now they must be equal, before peace can come." As soon as she finished, the window burst open. The wind howled in, the lamp went out. Darkness swallowed the room. From the void, the lullaby rose again, circling, echoing, everywhere. "Hush now, Mother calls you home." The water's deep, and cold below. Hung stumbled outside. The moon hung round and swollen, lighting the path toward the well. Lynn walked ahead of him, her feet never touching the ground. He followed, eyes glazed, breath shallow. At the edge of the well, the air turned icy. The black water rippled faintly. Waiting. Hung leaned over and saw a face looking back, Thou's. His wife, smiling up from beneath the surface. He broke down, tears streaming. "Forgive me, Thou, I only wanted to keep you near." The reflection's lips moved. "To keep me with blood, you must repay with blood." Lynn's cold hand slid into his. "Come with us, Father, it's not cold down there." He tried to pull away, shaking violently, but her grip tightened. Small, freezing, unrelenting. The lullaby grew louder, faster, until it drowned the wind itself. "Hush now, Father sings you to sleep. Sleep, and your life will be complete." Hung screamed, tears spilling down his face. "If I must go, let it be me alone." He tore free and hurled himself into the well. A splash echoed through the night, then silence. Lynn stood at the edge, watching. The black water cleared, turning crystal bright. The moon's reflection shimmered, and slowly, two figures appeared within it, one tall, one small, both smiling. By morning, the villagers gathered. The water in the well was pure and still, no more stench. No more song. Only a pair of worn sandals lay by the edge. And beside them, a drenched doll with one shattered eye. From that night on, they said, whenever the full moon rose, you could still hear a faint lullaby drifting from the end of the village. Hush now, sleep, my child, don't cry anymore. And as the storyteller's voice fades, it lowers to a somber hush. Perhaps no one ever truly left that village. They simply stopped searching for peace. For in the dark, beneath where the old banyan once stood, footsteps can still be heard passing by. After Hung's death, Dong Ninh village knew no peace. No one dared to walk near the well of vengeance, nor even whisper Lin's name. Mr. Ca ordered the well fenced off with bamboo and buried under layers of earth. A small altar was built beside it, incense burned day and night. But the more they prayed, the colder the village became. The sky stayed gray, even at noon. The wind carried the smell of damp soil and something metallic, and in its wake, a faint lullaby drifted. Hush now, my child, sleep tight. Mother's gone to the fields to pick wild greens for soup tonight. Children who heard that song at night would fall ill the next morning. Eyes wide open, muttering the same tune, then slipping into delirium. One morning, Mrs. Sao, the vegetable seller who lived closest to the well, disappeared. Only her basket remained in the yard, the leaves still wet with dew. Her door was ajar. Inside, nothing but the soft echo of that lullaby. Hush now, the night is cold, mother and child are far away. The village panicked. The men gathered, sweeping the rice fields, the bamboo groves, even the riverbanks. They found no trace of her, only tiny footprints pressed into the wet earth, leading to the place where the old banyan once stood. Now, it was just a sunken pit where even grass refused to grow. One brave man climbed down. Hey, there's something here. He bent closer and screamed. When they pulled him up, his face was pale as chalk, eyes rolled back. Beneath the mud was a woman's hand, fingers twitching, as if waving. From that night onward, more people vanished. First Mrs. Sao, then the two children of Mr. Liu. The next night, his wife woke to the sound of crying outside. She ran to the yard and saw her two children standing there, hand in hand, eyes black and empty. She screamed and rushed forward, arms outstretched. But as she touched them, they dissolved into mist. By morning, she was found dead at her doorstep, mouth open, eyes fixed toward the well. Panic spread. Families packed their things, hoping to flee. But no one ever made it past the red cotton tree at the edge of the village. Each time they reached it, they heard laughter behind them, childish, echoing. When they turned around, there was nothing. Then darkness, and when they awoke, they were back in their own homes. Desperate, Mr. Ca summoned a Taoist exorcist. The man came dressed in red robes, carrying a bronze bell, a peachwood sword, and a jar of garlic wine. That night, he circled the well with incense, chanting. The bell rang, smoke drifted low. The wind began to blow against him. He shut his eyes, trembling, then suddenly shouted, "It's not one soul, it's hundreds." The earth split open. The incense went out. The surface of the well bubbled violently. Then, a small gray hand gripped the edge. Another. And another, pale, shriveled hands crawling out one by one. The exorcist staggered back, raising his sword. But the wind snuffed the lanterns. Darkness swallowed everything. From within the storm came the voices, not one, but many, singing together. Hush now, the banyan drifts to the sky. Mother holds her child, their bodies lie in the fields. The song went on through the night, echoing even as dawn broke. When morning came, The well of vengeance was gone. In its place lay a wide hollow, the water black, spreading through the paddies. On the bank were half-burned talismans and a broken peachwood sword. The exorcist was never seen again. Since then, Dong Nin has been called the village without shadows. Locals say that on nights of the full moon, travelers passing by may see a woman in white sitting by the fields, rocking a child in her arms. If you listen closely, you'll hear her lullaby, faint, broken, each word sinking like stones into the mud. Hush now. One taken from three, and none remain. That night, the moon was full, round and pale as a silver tray. Over Dong Nin village, everything lay still, not a single dog barked. The rice fields were blanketed in fog, smooth and glassy as a lake. Mr. C.A. stayed awake all night, sitting before the altar. 3 sticks of incense had burned down to ash, curled like the fingernails of the dead. His trembling hand poured another cup of rice wine as he whispered a prayer. Spirits of the wronged, if you linger, please rest in peace. Take no more lives. Don't let this village turn to dust. Before he could finish, the back door creaked open. A cold wind swept in, carrying the stench of rot, like fish long dead. From outside came a lullaby, clear and slow. Hush now, mother's come to take you home. The moon is bright, the road is not far. Mr. C.A. rose abruptly, clutching a half-burned incense stick. Moonlight spilled into the yard. There, beneath the beetle palm, stood a woman in white, her long hair veiling her face. In her arms, a child giggled softly, the sound echoing like wind through bamboo. Mr. C.A. stammered, voice shaking. Who's there? The woman slowly lifted her face. No eyes, just 2 dark sockets, dripping blood. Her voice came in ragged whispers. This village owes blood? Behind the house came the squelch of mud. Bare feet, dozens of them, shuffled forward, dragging clumps of wet soil. They were the villagers who had died, faces ashen, mouths moving soundlessly. They walked in unison, step by step, toward the open fields. Above them, the moon gleamed white as bone. The entire village moved beneath it like a procession of sleepwalkers. Eyes wide open, feet barely touching the earth. At the edge of the village sat a boy named Du, an orphan from the next hamlet. He'd wandered into Dong Nin after hearing tales of beautiful songs at night. He watched, frozen, as the villagers passed silently before him. No one spoke, no one looked his way. Only the wind and the lullaby weaving through the mist. Hush now, child, go to sleep. Mother is gone, father won't return. Du shivered. He set down the little dog he'd been holding and backed away. But the ground beneath him turned soft and wet. Black water oozed up between his toes. The dog barked once, then whimpered, then fell silent. When Du looked down, only the torn collar remained, the dog was gone. He turned and ran, heart pounding. But with every step the earth sank deeper, pulling at his feet. The wind rose, and the lullaby grew faster, louder, coming from every direction. Under the moonlight, the villagers still marched on. Their faces turned upward, lips moving in unison. Hush now, why forsake us? Black water cleanses sin, souls fall among the fields. Du reached the village gate, where a great silk cotton tree stood. He almost made it through, when a voice whispered behind him. Hey, will you play with me? He turned. A little girl in a white dress stood by the roadside. Her hair hung in muddy strands, her face pale, her eyes empty of pupils. She smiled, a crooked, eerie smile, and stretched out her hand. Hold my hand, or you'll get lost. Before Du could move, that icy hand clasped his. A freezing wave shot through his body. Above him, the moon dimmed, as if swallowed by shadow. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer at the gate. Before him stretched a vast, flooded field, its water black and still. At its center stood the old banyan tree, long dead, its bark charred and split. Between its roots pooled a dark puddle. And in that water, the reflection of the girl's face smiled up at him. "It's cold here, but Mom is here too. It's nice, you'll see." Her voice echoed inside his skull. The ground pulsed beneath him. The field seemed to breathe. The moon shattered, splintering into fragments of light. Then everything went dark. At dawn, people from the neighboring village found Dong Nin's gate wide open. No one remained inside. The houses still stood. Rice steamed on the stoves. Oil lamps still burned. But beneath the dead banyan, a single small footprint led into the fields. And vanished. On the third morning after the full moon, the rain still hadn't stopped. A steady drizzle fell over the land. The road to Dong Nin village buried under mist and knee-deep water. A lone man trudged through the flood, his tattered raincloak clinging to his shoulders. A fabric satchel hanging at his side. His name was Fuck, a geomancer who had heard whispers of a cursed village and came to see it for himself. The path was deserted. Grass grew chest-high, the fields black as ink. He stopped before the ancient village gate, hands trembling as he drew out a talisman. Thunder rolled across the sky. The air reeked of rot and something metallic. He whispered a chant and planted 3 incense sticks into the mud. The flames flared red, then died instantly, the smoke twisting upward instead of rising straight. Fuck frowned. "The spirits here are strong," he muttered. "The living will not pass easily." He pressed onward, wading through the icy water. Beyond the old silk cotton tree, a faint light flickered, a house still burning oil. Through the window, he saw a shifting silhouette. Cautiously, he pushed the door open. Inside, the altar to the village elder leaned sideways. A candle guttered, wax dripping onto the floorboards. Someone sat in the middle of the room, head bowed, long hair covering her face. Then came the lullaby, soft, haunting. "Hush now, my child, sleep a while. The waters rise, and mother can't come home tonight." Fuck froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, walls, floor, air. He pulled a bronze mirror from his satchel and held it up. In the mirror, he saw not one woman, but dozens of pale figures behind her. Floating, indistinct. Their eyes were wide open, all fixed on him. The lullaby fractured. The woman slowly turned her head, face white as chalk, eye sockets hollow and bleeding, mouth split to her ears. Her whisper slid across the room like a gust of ice. "You came too late. There are no living souls left here." The lamp went out. Fuck staggered back, scattering consecrated rice and ashes in a circle around him. He shouted, "If you are the restless dead, show yourselves, and I will set you free." The ground trembled. Bare feet squelched closer from the yard, dozens of them. Figures emerged through the doorway, skin pale, dripping, eyes empty. Not a word, only the soft patter of water falling from their hair. Fuck lit his talisman, blue fire burst forth, swirling smoke across the room. And within that smoke appeared a small girl, Lynn. Her hair hung wet, her eyes black and endless. "It's cold here," she whispered. "Why did you come?" "I came to send you away, child," he said softly. "This land must rest." "It can't rest," she breathed. "They buried me, under the banyan, while I was still alive." Fuck froze, his heart pounding. "You mean, they buried you alive?" The girl smiled, a ragged, broken smile. "They were afraid. They killed everyone who saw me. Now, no one leaves." Rain hammered the roof, wind tore through the walls. And then, the singing began. Hundreds of children's voices, rising and falling in unison, chanting a twisted lullaby. "Hush now, the banyan sheds its leaves. Blood mixed with the well, traveler. Don't return." Fuck raised the talisman high, chanting furiously. Streams of green fire shot outward, igniting the darkness. The child screamed, her body unraveling into mist. But as she vanished, her voice lingered. "The villagers are gone. and no one who stands on this soil will ever live again." The light died. Silence fell. By morning, the rain had stopped. People from the neighboring hamlet found only a scorched circle in the courtyard of the elder's house. At its center lay a shattered bronze mirror, half buried in ash. The cursed well was filled in, the banyan reduced to smoldering charcoal. From far across the wind, a faint lullaby drifted, soft, sorrowful, as if rising from beneath the earth itself. Hush now, the banyan drifts to the sky. Those who have gone, who will remember them? It had rained for a week straight across central Vietnam. Rain that turned the fields white, lashed sideways against the tiled roofs, and drummed endlessly through the night. The road leading to Dong Ninh village was now nothing more than a trail of mud. Bamboo roots jutting out like the fingers of the dead. People said that on nights when the wind blew west, you could still hear the lullaby drifting across the flooded fields. Hush now, mother's come to take you home. No one dared go there anymore. No one, except Mai, the daughter of Phuc, the geomancer who vanished after the failed exorcism. Mai was young and thin, her eyes hollow, a tattered conical hat shading half her face. She didn't believe her father was dead. In the letter he'd left behind, his trembling handwriting read, "If I don't return, look beneath the banyan tree. They're still there." That evening, Mai reached the village gate. Cold rain slashed her face. Water rose halfway up her bicycle wheels. The gate hung broken, moss creeping thick along its frame. The wind hissed through the woven bamboo screens like the cry of mourning souls. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The stench hit her immediately: mud, rot, and something coppery. The houses leaned crooked, their walls streaked with dried handprints of brownish clay. As she crossed the courtyard of the old communal hall, she noticed a bronze mirror lying face down in a puddle. She bent to pick it up, but the surface rippled. The reflection staring back wasn't hers. It was the pale face of a young girl, eyes hollow, lips stretched in a faint, bloodless smile. "Who are you looking for?" Mai dropped the mirror, stumbling backward. The voice came from right beside her ear, but no one was there. Only the wind, cold and sharp, tangling her hair. "Who's here?" she called, her voice shaking. "I'm looking for my father, Phuc." No answer. Just the sound of soft, wet footsteps on mud. From behind the tree shadows, a small figure appeared. A little girl, no more than 5, wearing a soaked white dress, her hair plastered to her face, clutching a rag doll. She looked up, eyes round and black as onyx, and whispered, "Your father is sleeping." Mai's heart pounded. Sleeping where? Under the banyan. She turned toward the far end of the village. There it was, the burned, blackened stump of the once great banyan tree. Thunder rolled, rain fell harder. She waded through the fields, the water icy around her knees. When she reached the tree, she saw that the soil around its roots had been freshly disturbed. She knelt and began scraping the mud away. The moment her fingers touched the earth, a hand shot up from below, cold, stiff, and clamped around her wrist. Mai screamed and yanked back. The ground split open, and from beneath it rose the body of Phuc. His face was gray, eyes wide and glassy, lips dark purple. A half-burned talisman was branded into his forehead, half black, half gold. "Father," she cried, falling to her knees as tears mixed with rain. Suddenly his eyes rolled toward her. His voice rasped, like wind scraping through stone. "Mai, leave this place?" "I won't, I'm taking you home. There's nothing left to take, they're coming." The wind screamed, the trees shuddered violently. From across the flooded fields, hundreds of pale shapes emerged. The ghosts of Dong Nin's villagers. They trudged through the waist-deep water, lips moving in unison. "Hush now, the night has no moon. Those who pass through will lose their souls." Mai stumbled backward, trembling. The little girl appeared again beneath the banyan, smiling softly. "Don't be afraid," she said. "If you stay, You won't be alone anymore. Who are you? Mai's voice broke. I'm their child, the child of this village. You're Lin? My name is Lin, the girl said calmly. And you are the second person to come back. Lightning flashed. Rain poured down like a curtain of needles. The ground around Mai began to ooze black water. Cold vapor rose from beneath her feet. The lullaby swelled again, mixed with the sound of childish giggles. A small, icy hand slipped into hers, tight, unyielding. Come with me, Lin whispered. You'll see your father. Mai screamed. My father is dead. No, the girl smiled faintly. He's here with me. Thunder cracked. The banyan tree erupted in flames, lighting up Lin's face. Her smile twisted, her whisper trembling through the rain. It's cold here, but stay, won't you? Then everything went black. Mai opened her eyes. Darkness still filled the room. The old house of Elder Ca reeked of smoke and dampness. Its walls slick with rain. Outside, the banyan tree was nothing but a charred skeleton. Yet it still radiated heat, like a fire smoldering deep underground. From somewhere unseen, a lullaby drifted through the air, broken and strange in rhythm. Hush now, the flame won't die. Whoever passes here, their soul will follow. Mai trembled and stepped into the courtyard. Lin stood there, her white dress drenched, the rag doll clutched tightly in her arms. The girl smiled faintly, her eyes as dark as the void. You want to know how this village died, don't you? Lin, you know, I just want. You have to listen, Lin whispered. If you don't, you'll be lost too. Mai took a deep breath and stayed still. Lin came closer, her voice low and hollow. This village once lived in peace, until an old curse buried them beneath the banyan. They died, restless. Their souls spread across the fields, singing lullabies every night, to remind the living that what's lost can never truly be replaced. Mai's heart pounded. Replaced? What do you mean? 3 minus 1 leaves 1. Lin murmured. They lost everything. One remained, but never lived the same again. Suddenly, flames burst higher from the banyan tree. Mai stumbled backward as the ground beneath Lin trembled. The pale ghosts of the villagers rose from the earth, circling slowly, lips moving in eerie unison. Stay with us, hear the lullaby, hear the lullaby, hear the lullaby. Mai screamed, tears mingling with the rain. No, I have to save my father. I'm not staying here. Lin didn't reply, she only smiled. Raising her hand, she lifted the doll, it hovered midair, the firelight flickering in its glassy eyes until they glowed a fierce red. The lullaby quickened, merging with the roar of the storm, hammering against Mai's ears like thunder. Mai lunged toward the doorway, but the ground beneath her gave way. Cold, ghostly hands reached up, gripping her ankles, dragging her down. Her doll slipped from her grasp, falling into the mud. Lin bent down, picked it up gently, then hurled it straight into the burning pit beneath the banyan. The fire exploded upward, flooding the courtyard in crimson light. The lullaby shifted, slowing, breaking apart, then vanished completely. Mai screamed, shutting her eyes. When she opened them again, everything was silent. The banyan was reduced to ash. The smoke was gone. The ghosts had faded with the first light of dawn. The cursed well, the blackened fields, all still, all quiet. Mai shivered as she picked up the half-burned doll. Tiny footprints trailed away toward the village gate. She followed them until she stepped beyond the boundary. Behind her, Dong Nin village lay empty, silent except for the wind whispering through the collapsed roofs. And in her heart, one soft lullaby echoed faintly. Hush now, 3 minus 1, still 1. But the living must keep walking.